The massive Federation starship New Hope cut through the purple clouds of an alien world nobody had ever seen before. Inside the cockpit, Captain Keisha Davis gripped the controls as warning lights flashed across her dashboard. This wasn't just any landing, this was humanity's first meeting with the Kytherian race, and everyone knew how badly these things could go wrong. Ambassador Tyler Brooks straightened his dark blue uniform and checked his translator device one more time. Through the viewport, he could see the alien city below. Half of it lay in ruins, crumbling towers that once scraped the sky now broken like shattered glass. The other half still gleamed with an otherworldly beauty that made his breath catch. "Atmospheric readings are stable," called out Lieutenant Rachel Torres from her station. "But I'm picking up some strange energy signatures from the surface. The locals might have abilities we don't understand yet." The Kytherians had agreed to this meeting after months of careful radio contact. Their planet had been hit by something they called the Silent Death, a plague that killed most of their people and left the survivors changed in ways they couldn't explain. They needed help, and humanity needed allies in this dangerous part of the galaxy. As the shuttle touched down on a crystal platform, Tyler could see them waiting. The Kytherians stood almost 8 feet tall, their skin like living glass that shifted colors with their emotions. Right now, those colors looked nervous, pale blues and worried greens rippling across their translucent bodies. "Remember the briefing," Tyler whispered to his team as they walked toward the welcoming committee. "No sudden movements. Don't touch them unless they offer. And whatever happens, stay calm." The lead Kytherian stepped forward, his skin now showing respectful silver patterns. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Welcome, Skywalkers from the far stars. I am Council Leader Vorth. We are grateful you answered our call." Tyler bowed slightly, the way the cultural specialists had taught him. "We're honored to meet you, Leader Vorth. I'm Ambassador Brooks, speaking for all of humanity. We've come to learn from each other and perhaps find ways to help." The formal ceremony began in the Grand Assembly, a massive crystal dome that caught sunlight and scattered it into rainbow patterns across the walls. Tyler tried to focus on the speeches and gift exchanges, but something kept distracting him. A small figure kept darting between the adults, too quick to get a good look at. During a pause in the ceremony, Tyler noticed the figure again, this time close enough to see clearly. It was a Kytherian child, tiny compared to the adults, with skin that glowed soft pink instead of the mature silver and gold of the grown-ups. The little one wore torn clothing and had dirt smudged across her face. The child was staring directly at him with large, curious eyes that seemed far too sad for someone so young. Tyler's heart clenched. He'd seen that same look in refugee camps back on Earth, the expression of someone who'd lost everything but still hoped for something better. Before anyone could stop her, the small Kytherian broke away from the crowd and ran straight toward Tyler. The adults gasped, and Tyler heard his security team shifting behind him. First contact protocol said to avoid unexpected physical contact at all costs. But as the child reached out with her small, four-fingered hand, Tyler couldn't bring himself to pull away. The moment their skin touched, the world exploded into sensation. Suddenly Tyler wasn't just Tyler anymore. He was also this frightened, lonely child whose parents had died screaming in the plague. He felt her hunger, her cold nights sleeping in abandoned buildings, her desperate wish for someone, anyone, to care about her again. At the same time, she was experiencing his thoughts, his genuine desire to help, his own memories of being scared and alone as a kid, his determination to make things better. The connection lasted only seconds, but it felt like hours. When it broke, Tyler found himself kneeling on the crystal floor, the alien child's hand still gripped tightly in his. She was looking up at him with wonder, her skin now glowing warm gold, an emotion Tyler somehow knew meant hope. "What's your name, little one?" he asked softly. "Zira," she whispered, the first word she'd spoken since her parents died. And she didn't let go of his hand. Around them, the assembled Kytherians stood in stunned silence. Leader Vorth's skin was cycling through colors Tyler had never seen before, confusion, fear, amazement, and something that might have been joy. Contact protocols were officially out the window. But looking down at Zira's trusting face, Tyler couldn't bring himself to care about the rules anymore. 200 miles above the planet's surface, Admiral Dante Williams paced the bridge of the Federation battleship Resolute like a caged tiger. The holographic displays around him showed tactical readouts, alien ship movements, and most importantly, the live feed from the diplomatic mission below. What he saw made his jaw clench with worry. "Sir, we've got a problem," called out Commander Alicia Chen from the communication station. Her dark fingers danced across the control panel as she filtered through dozens of incoming messages. The ambassador just made physical contact with an alien child. Protocol says we should extract him immediately. Admiral Williams stopped pacing and stared at the main screen. There was Ambassador Brooks, kneeling on an alien crystal floor, holding hands with what looked like a small glass creature. The tactical computer was already running threat assessments, red warnings flashing across multiple displays. What do we know about their touch telepathy capabilities? Williams demanded, turning to his intelligence officer. Lieutenant Commander Jamal Rodriguez pulled up classified files on his tablet. Not much, sir. Our long-range scans detected unusual brain activity in the Kytherians, but we don't understand how it works. The child could be reading the ambassador's mind right now, accessing classified information, Federation troop movements, our defensive capabilities. Williams felt his stomach drop. This was exactly the kind of disaster that ended military careers and got people killed. He'd been against this diplomatic mission from the start, but the politicians back on Earth insisted on making contact with every new species they encountered. They never thought about the security risks. Get me a direct line to Brooks, he ordered. The communication came through crystal clear, but what Williams heard made his blood pressure spike. Admiral, I need to extend our mission timeline, Ambassador Brooks was saying, his voice filled with emotion. These people have been through hell. This child, Zira, she's been living alone in the ruins since the plague killed her parents. We can't just leave them. Negative, Ambassador, Williams replied, using his command voice that had intimidated subordinates for 20 years. You have 72 hours to complete diplomatic protocols and return to the ship. That's a direct order. There was a long pause before Brooks responded. Sir, with respect, I'm invoking diplomatic immunity. This is a humanitarian crisis, and we have an opportunity to actually help these people. Williams cut the connection and turned to his senior staff. The bridge crew was watching him carefully, waiting for orders. These were good people, experienced officers who'd served with him through 3 wars and countless dangerous missions. But this situation was unlike anything they'd faced before. Options, he said simply. Commander Chen spoke first. We could send down a marine extraction team. Force the ambassador back to the ship. The Kytherians might see that as an act of war, Rodriguez countered. We'd be attacking their guests during a diplomatic ceremony. That could turn this whole sector against us. Williams walked over to the tactical display showing the surrounding star systems. 3 different alien powers had ships within a day's travel of this planet. The Hegemony, the Collective, and the Dominion, all of them watching humanity's first contact with the Kytherians very closely. Sir, said his tactical officer, a young woman named Lieutenant Torres. I've been monitoring subspace communications. Other alien species are already talking about this. If we show weakness here, if we let emotions override military protocol, they'll see us as soft targets. That was William's biggest fear. Humanity had fought hard to earn respect among the galactic powers. Their reputation as disciplined, logical, and militarily competent was often the only thing standing between Earth and conquest. But here was their ambassador, holding hands with an alien child and talking about humanitarian aid instead of strategic advantages. The Kytherians have advanced biotechnology, Rodriguez added. Medical innovations that could save millions of human lives. But they also have weaponized telepathy that we don't understand. If they can control minds through touch. Williams didn't need him to finish that thought. An enemy that could turn human soldiers against each other with a touch would be unstoppable. The Federation's entire military doctrine was built on human unity and shared purpose. Take that away, and their fleets would crumble. But every time he looked at the live feed, he saw that little alien girl clinging to Brooks' hand like her life depended on it. Williams had 2 daughters back on Earth, and he recognized that desperate need for connection that all children had when they were scared and alone. Sir, the ambassador is refusing direct orders to return, Chen reported. He's staying planet-side with a volunteer team. Says he won't abandon the survivors. Williams closed his eyes and felt the weight of command settling on his shoulders like a lead blanket. Every decision he made could start a war or save a species. And right now, he had no idea which path would lead where. Prepare the Marines, he finally said. If Brooks won't come back willingly, we'll bring him back by force. Ambassador Tyler Brooks had never disobeyed a direct military order in his 20-year career. But as he looked down at little Zira's trusting face, he knew some things mattered more than following rules. Against all protocols, he led a small team of volunteers into the ruined sections of the Kytherian city, where hundreds of orphan children were struggling to survive alone. The outer districts looked like a war zone. Crystalline buildings lay shattered, their rainbow surfaces now dull and cracked. Alien writing covered the walls, desperate messages from parents looking for lost children, children searching for families that would never come home. The silence was the worst part. Kytherian cities were supposed to hum with telepathic energy, but here, that network had been completely severed. "My God," whispered Dr. Keisha Martinez, the mission's chief medical officer. She knelt beside a group of young Kytherians huddled in what used to be a marketplace. How long have they been living like this? Through his growing bond with Zira, Tyler began to understand the horrible truth. The plague hadn't just killed bodies, it had destroyed the telepathic connections that held Kytherian society together. These children weren't just orphans. They were completely cut off from the mental network that their species needed to function, like humans suddenly struck blind and deaf. They are dying from loneliness, Tyler realized, his voice heavy with emotion. Without the telepathic bonds, they can't process emotions properly. They are slowly shutting down. Lieutenant Devon Washington, a young engineering officer who'd volunteered to stay behind, was already trying to communicate with a group of teenage Kytherians. The moment one of them touched his hand, both human and alien froze in surprise. "Whoa," Devon breathed. "I can feel what she's feeling. The fear, the confusion, but also, relief? Like she's been drowning and finally found something to hold on to." Dr. Martinez quickly ran medical scans on both species during the contact. Her equipment showed something unprecedented. Human brain patterns were somehow providing stability to the chaotic Kytherian neural networks. Not control or manipulation, but a kind of emotional anchor that the alien children desperately needed. "It's like we're natural shock absorbers," she explained to Tyler later that evening. "Human minds are naturally shielded from telepathy, but we can still provide a calming influence. We're giving these kids the mental stability they need to heal." Word spread quickly through the survivor communities. More children began arriving at their makeshift camp every day. Some came alone, others in small groups, all of them drawn by stories of the strange sky people who could touch minds without causing pain. Sergeant Kelly Foster found herself caring for twin Kytherian boys who hadn't spoken since watching their parents die. Within hours of making contact, they were chattering away in their musical language, their skin glowing with healthy gold and silver patterns for the first time in months. Communications specialist Andre Johnson bonded with a teenage Kytherian girl who had been caring for a group of younger children. Through their connection, he learned she'd been carrying the emotional weight of dozens of traumatized kids, slowly burning herself out trying to be strong for everyone. With a human anchor, she could finally rest and let someone else share the burden. The camp grew from 30 children to 50, then 100, then nearly 200. Each human volunteer found themselves bonding with multiple Kytherian youngsters, creating extended family networks that began healing wounds the plague had left behind. Tyler sent detailed reports to Admiral Williams every day, documenting their breakthrough discoveries about interspecies psychology and the potential for human Kytherian cooperation. Each report was ignored. Each day brought more urgent orders to return to the fleet immediately. "Sir," Devon said one morning as they watched Kytherian children playing games they'd learned from their human partners. "The Admiral's really not happy with us, is he?" Tyler looked at Zira, who was teaching a group of human crew members how to make music by touching certain crystal formations. Her skin glowed with pure joy, an emotion she hadn't felt since before the plague. "Probably not," Tyler admitted. "But look at what we've accomplished here. These kids were dying, and now they're healing. We've learned more about Kytherian society in 3 weeks than all our long-range studies combined. This isn't just humanitarian aid, it's the foundation for a real alliance between our species." Dr. Martinez approached them with her daily medical report. "The bonding process is accelerating," she said. "The children's recovery rates are exceeding all my projections. But Tyler, there's something else you need to know." She paused, looking uncertain. "The bonds are becoming permanent. The neural pathways are literally rewiring themselves. If we try to leave now, if we break these connections suddenly, it could cause severe psychological trauma to both species." Tyler felt a chill run down his spine. They weren't just helping alien children anymore, they were creating lasting changes that nobody fully understood. And somewhere up in orbit, Admiral Williams was preparing to extract them by force. Admiral Dante Williams stared at the intelligence reports scattered across his command table, each one worse than the last. The hegemony had moved 3 warships closer to Kytherian space. The collective was broadcasting propaganda about human weakness across subspace channels. Most damaging of all, the Kytherian government was publicly praising the Federation's humanitarian efforts in news transmissions that every hostile alien power in the sector was monitoring. "Sir, we're being painted as soft," reported Commander Chen, her voice tight with concern. "The other species are calling us the emotional humans in their diplomatic channels. They think we can't separate feelings from strategy." Williams felt his career slipping away with every passing hour. 3 decades of military service, countless battles fought to earn humanity's place among the stars, all potentially undone by one ambassador who couldn't follow orders. The Federation Council back on Earth was already asking pointed questions about his command decisions. The Dominion ambassador sent a private message, added Intelligence Officer Rodriguez. He said, and I quote, "Perhaps humans are too weak-hearted for the realities of galactic politics. They're testing us, sir, looking for any sign that we're vulnerable." The Admiral walked to the main viewport and stared down at the planet below. Somewhere in those alien cities, Ambassador Brooks was playing house with telepathic children while enemy fleets gathered in the darkness. Every hour they stayed made humanity look more naive, more exploitable. "Prep the Marines," Williams ordered, his voice hard as steel. "Full extraction gear. We're bringing our people home today." 2 hours later, 3 military shuttles descended through the purple atmosphere toward the refugee camp. Major Keisha Thompson led the extraction team, 40 Marines in full combat armor carrying non-lethal suppression weapons. Their orders were clear: retrieve all Federation personnel and return them to the fleet, regardless of their wishes or the diplomatic consequences. The camp that greeted them looked nothing like the tactical briefings had suggested. Instead of a small humanitarian outpost, they found what looked like a thriving community. Human crew members were teaching alien children to play Earth games. Kytherian youngsters were showing their human partners how to make crystalline sculptures that sang in the wind. The sound of laughter, both human and alien, filled the air. "Jesus," whispered Sergeant Andre Foster as he watched a group of kids play some kind of telepathic tag game. "They're not prisoners here. They're family." Major Thompson tried to maintain professional focus as she approached Ambassador Brooks. The diplomat was sitting cross-legged on the ground with little Zira in his lap, while a dozen other Kytherian children clustered around him. All of them had their small hands touching him somehow, his arms, his shoulders, even just his boots. Their skin glowed with warm, contented colors. "Ambassador Brooks," Thompson announced formally. "By direct order of Admiral Williams, you and your team are to return to the fleet immediately." Brooks looked up at her with tired eyes. "Major, I need you to understand something before you do anything drastic. These children have formed permanent neural bonds with my people. If you force us to leave suddenly, you'll be traumatizing kids who have already lost everything." Dr. Martinez stepped forward with her medical scanner. "Major, I've been monitoring the bonding process. The neural pathways have completely restructured themselves. Breaking these connections by force would be like ripping apart their minds. Some of these children might not survive the psychological shock." Thompson felt her certainty wavering. She'd expected to find Federation personnel under some kind of alien influence, maybe being held against their will. Instead, she was looking at what appeared to be genuine care and affection between two species. "Sir," radioed Corporal Devon Williams from across the camp. "You need to see this. I've got about 50 alien kids here who start crying every time they see our weapons. Not scared crying, heartbroken crying. Like we're here to take their parents away." The Major looked around at her Marines. These were tough soldiers who'd faced down hostile aliens in a dozen different wars. But now they were lowering their weapons and looking uncomfortable. Staff Sergeant Kelly Rodriguez had actually taken off a helmet and was kneeling down to talk to a small Kytherian who had approached her curiously. "Major Thompson," Ambassador Brooks said quietly. "I know this looks like insubordination, but this is bigger than military protocol. We've discovered that humans and Kytherians can form a unique type of partnership. Their biotechnology combined with our emotional stability could revolutionize medicine, space exploration, even diplomacy itself." Thompson activated her comm unit to report back to Admiral Williams, but hesitated when she saw what was happening around her. Marine after Marine was being approached by curious alien children. None of the soldiers had the heart to push them away. The extraction mission was falling apart before it had even begun. 6 months after the crisis that nearly ended his career, Admiral Dante Williams stood in the same crystal chamber where everything had started. But this time, he wasn't wearing his military uniform. Instead, he was dressed in ceremonial robes that shifted colors like liquid starlight, a gift from the Kytherian Council to honor the new alliance between their peoples. The Grand Assembly buzzed with activity as humans and Kytherians worked side by side, preparing for the signing of the most comprehensive peace treaty in Federation history. Williams watched Ambassador Tyler Brooks move through the crowd, little Zira perched on his shoulders, both of them glowing with happiness that needed no translation. "Hard to believe we almost threw this all away," said Commander Chen, now promoted to captain after her role in developing the new first contact protocols. She gestured toward a group of human children from the newly established colony, playing some impossible game with their Kytherian friends that seemed to involve reading each other's minds. Williams nodded, remembering how close he'd come to ordering a forced extraction that would have traumatized hundreds of alien children and probably started a war. The decision to stand down had been the hardest of his military career, but now he could see it had been the right one. Dr. Keisha Martinez approached them, carrying a datapad filled with medical reports that would revolutionize healthcare across human space. "Admiral, you need to see the latest breakthrough. The Kytherian bioengineers have been working with our medical team to develop treatments for genetic diseases we thought were incurable. The neural bonding process isn't just helping their children heal, it's teaching us things about the human brain we never knew." The transformation had been remarkable to witness. What started as a desperate humanitarian mission had evolved into humanity's most successful first contact operation ever. The human-Kytherian partnerships were producing advances in science, medicine, and technology that neither species could have achieved alone. Lieutenant Colonel Devon Washington walked over with his latest report. The young officer who'd been part of the original volunteer team was now in charge of the cultural exchange program. "Sir, we've got requests from 12 other Federation colonies to establish similar partnership programs. Turns out the bonding process works with human adults too, just differently than with children." Williams looked around the chamber at the mixed groups of humans and Kytherians working together. Some were scientists sharing research, others were artists creating impossible sculptures that sang with telepathic harmonies. In one corner, a group of human engineers was learning to grow living buildings from Kytherian crystal seeds. "The politicians back on Earth finally understand what we discovered here," Williams said. "Sometimes the best weapon isn't superior firepower or advanced technology. Sometimes it's just the willingness to help someone who needs it." The ceremony began as Council Leader Vorth stepped forward, his translucent skin cycling through grateful blues and golds. "Today we mark not just an alliance between our peoples, but the birth of something entirely new. The human capacity for selfless compassion has healed wounds we thought would never close." Ambassador Brooks took the podium next, with Zira still clinging to his hand like she had that first day. She was bigger now, healthier, and her skin glowed with the confident patterns of a young Kytherian who knew she was loved and protected. "6 months ago, we came here as strangers," Brooks began. "We followed protocols designed to minimize risk and maximize strategic advantage. But we learned that sometimes the greatest risk is not trusting your heart when it tells you to help someone in need." Williams felt pride swell in his chest as he watched his former subordinate speak. The man who had defied direct orders to care for alien orphans was now being hailed as a hero across Federation space. The human touch doctrine that emerged from this mission was already being implemented in first contact situations throughout the galaxy. Captain Chen leaned over and whispered, "Admiral, incoming priority message from Starfleet Command. They want to know if you'd accept promotion to Fleet Admiral and oversee the new Diplomatic Protection Corps." Williams smiled as he watched human and Kytherian children playing together, their laughter echoing off the crystal walls. After 30 years of preparing for war, he was finally being asked to prepare for peace. "Tell them yes," he said quietly. "It's time we changed how humanity approaches the galaxy." As the treaty signing concluded, Zira broke away from Ambassador Brooks and ran over to Williams. The little Kytherian girl who had started this whole adventure looked up at the grizzled admiral with curious eyes. "Thank you for not taking our humans away," she said in perfect English, her skin glowing warm gold. Williams knelt down and gently patted her head. "Thank you for teaching us what really matters, little one. Sometimes the smallest hands could change the course of entire civilizations. And sometimes the greatest victory was knowing when not to fight at all."